Hello, my name is Jack Montoya, and this is Physics 2212, Lab 1. This first lab, our goal was to use charged tape as a source for observing the interactions of charged bodies. To do this, I followed an experiment for charging the tape, holding it near various objects, and modeling the entire experiment through GlowScript. Overall, I found that two charged tapes repulsed each other. The net charge on the tape was positive 1.2 e to the negative 8 coulombs, and therefore the tape lost around 7.5 e to the 10 electrons. Experiment, we can first assume that air resistance is negligible, the tape is considered a point charge, and both tapes are equal in charge. Additionally, we need to understand three fundamental equations. Newton's second law tells that the net force on an object is equal to that object's change in momentum over time. The force of gravity is equal to the mass of an object multiplied by the acceleration due to gravity, g. And lastly, the electric force between two charges is proportional to the product of the charges and inversely proportional to the distance between them squared. To conduct this experiment, the following procedure was followed. Creating two U-tapes by placing one on the table and the other one on top and then pulling them apart. Then these U-tapes were held near each other and the interaction was observed. Then I held one U-tape near the neutral wall and that interaction was observed. And I took a plastic pen and rubbed it in my hair to give it a negative charge and held the U-tape near that negatively charged pen. That interaction was observed. Then one U-tape was placed suspended like a bridge across two equal height pillars, and the second U-tape was held until the suspended bridge was suspended, and that interaction was observed. The findings of this experiment is that the two U-tapes repelled each other, the U-tape was attracted to the neutral wall, the U-tape was attracted to the negatively charged pen, and the distance for suspension between the U-tape bridge and the U-tape below it was 0.02 meters. Here are my measurements from the experiment for the tape dimensions, and using the area of the tape we can find the number of atoms based on the known area of one atom. And some calculations made were the charge on the U-tape based on the net force equaling 0 of the suspended bridge, and then using this charge we found the loss of electrons to create that charge, and finally we took the ratio of the lack of electrons to the total number of atoms. After inserting all of the measurements and equations for the experiment, this GlowScript model was able to calculate and display the forces on the charged tape. The model also calculated the charge on the tape, the number of electrons lost, and the ratio of atoms to electrons lost. Again, this model is assuming that the tapes act as point charges. So the model is on the left and the GlowScript code is on the right. And finally, to the discussion of the experiment. What if electrons had positive charge and protons had negative? How would this change the observations? Well, the results and observations of the experiment would remain the same. Opposite charges will still attract and alike charges will still repel. Why should you handle the charged tape as little as possible? And what happens when it comes in contact with neutral objects? Well, handling the tape as little as possible is important to ensure that the positive charge on the tape is not changing. When positive tape comes in contact with neutral objects, It will try to neutralize and reach equilibrium by stealing electrons from those neutral objects.